AFC Championship Game week continues on Sports BKC, presented by Big O Tires. It's Tuesday, January 14th, and I'm your host, Blair Kirchhoff. On today's show, star columnist Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian provide the next day or two perspective of the remarkable triumph over the Houston Texans in the AFC Divisional Round game on Sunday, and they answer the question, is Chiefs playoff bad karma a thing of the past? We resume the topic after a break and discuss the role Patrick Mahomes plays in helping Kansas City cope with its playoff past. Here we go with Sam and Vahe. Sam and Vahe are here. Hi, guys.
What's up, Blair?
Hello, Blair.
It's good to see both of you. It's only a day after the Chiefs win over the Texans in the divisional round game, but this is being posted on Tuesday, so we don't like to deceive our listeners, right?
Transparency.
Absolutely. So I just saw you guys less than 24 hours ago. In fact, we just talked about the Chiefs-Texans less than 24 hours ago. But I wanted to take the occasion to ask you guys and discuss, any kind of day after thoughts about what proved to be an incredible game for the Chiefs. And my first thought is, in the form of a question, did the outcome and the way that the Chiefs won that game, coming from 24 down to win by 20, in any way erase the bad karma of Chiefs playoff, teams in the past, or do they have to continue to win for that victory to be considered a turning point for the Chiefs?
I have a very ready answer for this.
Our eyes met.
Yeah,
I saw your anticipation pouncing.
I need to take this shot. Sorry. I asked basically that question to Mitch Schwartz after the game, and look, the way that game was, there's never been a game like that. Literally in NFL history, there's never been a game quite like that. And for it to happen on that stage with this franchise and their history, I don't think there's anybody in that stadium or even watching TV that has followed the Chiefs that didn't feel exactly that. And so, I asked Mitch Schwartz about, that's how people feel, that this franchise with 21-3 and 38-10 and, all the things that people know about needed to break through in a way like that. And then I was like, it's a fan thing, right? And he's like, yes. Pat Mahomes is 24 years old. He's been our quarterback 2 years and we've been in the AFC Championship 2 years. And that's all true. And I think what you just said, though, is also true that if they don't win, if they lose on Sunday against the Titans as a 7.5-point favorite against a team that everybody thinks they're better than, it's Patrick Mahomes against Ryan Tannehill at Arrowhead for a chance at the Super Bowl, then the way that we think about what happened on this past Sunday, against the Texans, against a decent Texans team, just gets wiped out and thought about a hell of a lot differently. This moment we're living in right now cannot last forever. It expires one way or the other on Sunday, and it's either is this team going to the Super Bowl or this team choking.
The point, not really a counterpoint, but a sort of corollary to what you're saying, I think, is yes, when it comes to fans and media.
Yeah.
You want to see the team take advantage of this. It seems like everything's primed for them, and now doubly so after that. The sort of thing that makes you feel like you purged some demons. And we, as observers, feel like, well, if you don't take advantage of it, then what was the good? But I do think, even if they lose to the Titans, that team, something more happens within that team than we might feel or see that sustains them, as we go on with the unfolding story over years to come, right? I don't think it's just a one-off. I think it's the kind of thing that has some staying power. Now, if they lose Sunday and they do nothing next year, then you just think, well, what did it mean at all? I guess I'm not ready to say that if they don't do something with this, that game didn't mean anything. But you sure would feel down as an observer.
It would be – I just think it would be the biggest certainly one of the biggest missed opportunities that the Chiefs or any team could imagine.
It would feel like a waste.
All the things that have broken their way, And, I mean, they were staring at a wild card game, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever, losing track of time. And only got this bye because the Dolphins won in Foxborough. And then that bye turns into effectively the number one seed because now they get to play the AFC Championship Game at home. Anthony Hitchens said after, this is it. We got to do it. Like, these opportunities don't come forever. Everybody in Blair, you brought this up. A lot of people brought this up. Like Dan Marino, they thought he'd be in the Super Bowl all the time. And look, like I think that Patrick is in a hell of a situation with his coach and his teammates and the infrastructure they have built around him. But there's at least what I think most people would agree, 3 elite quarterbacks in the AFC, and only one of them can get to the Super Bowl every year. I mean, I just think you got to go when you get these chances.
I don't want to suggest that I don't think you better seize the moment because I hope I didn't come off like that.
But you're talking about it's not going to ruin in the 30,000 foot.
I don't feel like it should feel ruinous. But I come away from yesterday thinking that we all are reminded they can pretty much do anything with this guy there.
Yeah.
And so I guess I wouldn't feel like if they lose the Titans, well, that means they can't find a way. But your bigger point too is also very true. Seldom have you ever seen anything just seem to fall in line for a team like this. And one of the things you'll always hear people that win championships say is, we were really good, but things had to fall in our favor. And that's absolutely happened. Even you can trace a pattern back to when Patrick's knee got mangled and turned out, we can play in a couple weeks. I mean, there seemed to be some fortune in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think about a team that there's a million things, but the two that I think of the most is how the 16 games played out with good fortune is one. The biggest story of this team in weeks 1 through 17 was injuries. I mean, it was almost comical. They were 6-7 starters. I mean, makeshift offensive line. When Mahomes played, it was often with, either an injured hand that he couldn't throw deep or it was an ankle that he couldn't really run around. I mean, it was just everywhere on the team. There were injuries. Now they're really healthy. Juan Thornhill is a miss. Like that is a significant, miss. But assuming that another week Chris Jones can play, they're pretty much healthy. I know Andrew Wiley's been out, but Wisniewski can play. And he's been solid. And the other thing I think about is with this Titans team, and Mitch Holtis was the first one I heard made this point, that losing that game, as bad as it was in the moment, pushed them down in the waiver order. So they get Terrell Suggs. They still get the bye anyway, but they still get Suggs ahead of the Ravens, the 49ers, the Seahawks, I forgot who else. And so they get everything anyway. I mean, there's just like this long list of just really crazy fortunate breaks that the Chiefs have had.
And that was the last time they lost. Am I remembering correctly?
Is that right? Yeah.
The last time they lost.
Yeah.
And to your point about the injuries, one of the moments you can highlight for how chaotic it was for so long was that was the game, I think, where they had the offensive line, what was it, 3 straight plays that a right tackle got knocked out? Was that what it was?
It was something like that. I think 3 straight plays that an offensive lineman, was it a right tackle? It was Mitch Schwartz, and then right after him,
whoever backed up Mitch came in and got hurt immediately.
Yeah. They were an injury away from
was it
Anthony Sherman playing right guard or something.
I don't think it was. It could have been.
But I remember you're right. And
it was
what was notable was Schwartz lost his consecutive snap streak that day.
And it was one. I think part of what that left them with was one guy playing the position he started the season at for a couple plays, and that I don't know, just kind of illustrated how ridiculous that line situation got.
Yeah, and then if you had one more injury at that point, I mean they didn't, so whatever. But if you had one more injury, you have football's equivalent of a position player pitching. Basically, whether it's Blake Bell playing right tackle, or
then maybe they wouldn't have thrown the pass to him that didn't work later.
I remember asking Andy about that. Yeah. What if you've gone through all your offensive linemen? Who's your guy?
Crazy.
So as you guys were discussing this, I jotted down a couple of notes just to answer some points. The the Miami win over the Patriots to give the Chiefs the bye. That was, I forgot what the number was. It was like one of the biggest upsets in
30 years.
30 years.
Tied by point spread.
Unbelievable.
In 30 years.
That occurred.
17 and a half or something like that point under.
Right. And the Chiefs
which Andy noted in his postgame, which I've never.
Andy noted the point spread?
Point spread of the other game.
Yes.
I didn't remember that. Oh, my goodness.
He remembered the distinction, something like it was the biggest upset or something.
Yeah.
So that's right. And the reference to Dan Marino, if the Chiefs win on Sunday and qualify for the Super Bowl, there'll be a lot of Dan Marino talk as it relates to Pat Mahomes. The thing about Dan Marino, I believe this is right. Don Shula was still the coach. Don Shula still, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Hall of Famer. number 2 on the career victory list, and couldn't get back to a Super Bowl with Dan Marino.
He has said that's his biggest regret in coaching is not being able to win a Super Bowl with Dan Marino.
Not even. I think they only got back to 1 or 2 AFC title games. I think they got back the next year, lost to the Patriots team that got pummeled by the Bears and the 85 Bears, but I think that may have been it for even getting back to an AFC title game. So that's why I think about the history of the game in that way, but I also relate it to the torture that Chiefs fans have been through with their playoff teams, the way they've lost these games. You can't take anything for granted. You better appreciate what happened on Sunday at Arrowhead, and the place was electric. It really was. And how could it not be with the way that game unfolded? But there's part of me that thinks, man, you better take advantage of this. You better. I mean, yes, I know some years 9 and 7 teams get to the Super Bowl, 6 seeds get to the Super Bowl, and that's never the Chiefs, right? It's always somebody else. It could be the Titans, right? They're 9 and 7 and a 6 seed, but and they've had this incredible run of going to New England and winning, and then the Ravens win in last weekend in the divisional round. But man, the Chiefs have had a much. If you believe in these things, and apparently Mitchell Schwartz doesn't, and he shouldn't, and no player should or coach should. But when you take it in its entirety, from a fan's perspective, from media that's been around for so long, what a missed opportunity this will be if they don't get this one done.
Go ahead.
Well, I feel like you're right, exactly right. Like Mitch should not think this, and nobody
in that locker room should feel that burden. Absolutely not.
But I think if you talk to guys who played on the Chiefs in the 90s, with time, with distance, they talk like fans. And they talk about how the pressure mounted and it became too much. And there one mistake turned into 2 and 3. I mean, I think that stuff sometimes I think, can seep into it. And, another one, like everybody talks about Dan Marino and deservedly so, and Aaron Rodgers is still playing. But when they won their one Super Bowl, I think they beat the Steelers, if I remember right, in Texas, at Dallas. I remember a story by, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the legendary beat writer that covered the Packers for a long time. But he wrote this story. It was
McGinn?
Yeah, Bob McGinn wrote this terrific story about how this could be the worst Packers team in the next decade, because the roster, they were all 24 and they had a bunch of injuries that year. And, he's thinking they're going to get healthy. All these guys are young. They're going to have contract extensions. This could be the NFL's next dynasty. And it was all factual. It was just built in a way that's how it should have gone. And, they never got back.
And look, it is interesting.
Or haven't yet, I should say.
I guess they haven't.
But with a chance.
Here we are with the looming Super Bowl I reunion matchup waiting. It is interesting just to think about how much differently we will see this game in Chiefs history, depending on whether. I guess that's the way I'm looking at it. It will look entirely different in the context of the history for us, for fans, than it if one way or the other, whatever plays out from here. I just don't know if it, in there, like you said, those guys can't think that way. They shouldn't think that way. If you think that way, they probably don't even win that game yesterday, right? Because you've got to just keep going, keep stacking plays, as they say, and that's how it is. You start over.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
If your steering wheel has more traction than your actual tires, that's a big oh no. Thankfully, For all your car's big O no's, there's always a big O yes. Now through February 2nd, buy 3, get 1 free on select sets of 4 Aspen Touring AS or Mesa AP2 brand tires with paid installation purchase. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Disposal fees extra and up to 10% shop fee based on non-discounted regular retail price not to exceed $35 where permitted. See store for pricing. Eligibility may vary. Not valid with other offers. At participating locations, no cash value.
Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/sportsbeatkc offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. Back with Vahe Gregorian and Sam Mellinger. We're talking about the Chiefs. Taking a quick look back at the Texans game on Sunday and looking ahead to the AFC Championship Game against the Tennessee Titans. The number 2 seed Chiefs against number 6 seed Tennessee Titans in Arrowhead Stadium at 2:00 on Sunday. Chiefs were in this position a year ago and fell to the New England Patriots, who went on to the Super Bowl. Just to go back a little bit to what we were saying before the break, we're talking about opportunities and you got to take advantage of them. The Patriots have kind of spoiled football for everybody, right? Because it was always them in the way. And you could have the best team. Remember the Chargers were 14-2 one year with Marty Schottenheimer, and it was a great Chargers team, and they couldn't get it done. The Chiefs at Arrowhead last year, because of, they had a great team and magic season for Mahomes, and there was Belichick and Brady in the way, and they didn't get it done. How many teams have, from out of the AFC anyway, that weren't able to get it done just because the Patriots are in the way? And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case anymore. And I know one discussion that we had earlier today is, can the Chiefs are they the leading candidate to, I don't know, is the AFC going to unfold in the next few years the way it did previously with the Patriots at the top and everybody trying to beat them? Because what I saw from Patrick Mahomes on Sunday was that guy's a boss, and it's going to be tough to beat those guys. This is a terrific team with great players, a damn good coach, an improved defense. Let's get them to a Super Bowl before we start talking about how good they can be in future years. It just seems like they're in a good place.
Well, it does seem like they're in a good place, but I think in certain ways you look at some of what the Patriots did, and it's about unprecedented, and I'm not sure how you can duplicate that. Now, you can be in the hunt a lot, but I think, let's get them to a Super Bowl and see how we start feeling about that. One quick twist on something you said was part of that fortune that the Chiefs have had. There were a lot of weird officiating calls that day in Foxborough, the Chiefs-Patriots game. I'd say kind of equaled out in a lot of ways, but you can't expect to have a couple touchdowns taken off the board in New England. And if the Chiefs don't win that game, then all the dominoes fall differently in that playoff lineup, and things just look different. I mean, it just does. So just another point of all that and having the Patriots out of this postseason, it does affect how you look at all the possibilities.
Maybe part of the karma for the Chiefs this year to have the Kelsey fumble return should have been a Patriots touchdown. It wasn't. The out of bounds near the goal line, but the Chiefs had to come up with that defensive stand.
They did,
held them to a field goal, but no, that's look. They got to win Sunday for us to talk about what we might be looking at. Although that'll be a national narrative, won't it? If the Chiefs win Sunday, I've already seen this dribbling out a little bit in national stories that the Chiefs are set up for greatness. But we thought that last year too. This isn't new. We thought it last year, but got to tell you, starting quarterback for 2 years, 2 straight AFC title games, that's a pretty good record.
Yeah, I mean, they are. All those things are true. They are set up for that. And I do think that if you could just pick one quarterback I know what Lamar Jackson did this year, but I think you would take Mahomes. And I think the skill position, that it's all there. But, maybe I'm piggybacking off of what you just said, Vahe. But, I think the Chiefs are in the best position to dominate the next decade. But I think it's likelier than not that not one team dominates the next decade. You know what I mean? Like, I think the Ravens are really good, and they've got a great quarterback. They might have some stuff to work through this offseason and next season of making sure that kind of thing is repeatable, of how they did their offense, and they can keep their quarterback healthy and all that. But they've got an incredible quarterback and a really good, proven coach. And Houston has at least half of that. I'm not sure about the coach part. New England has at least half of that.
Don't know about the quarterback.
Yeah, don't know about the quarterback part anymore. So, but there's enough teams, if Cleveland, if they can ever get it figured out, there's at least talent on that roster. But, that's why, again, I guess I'm repeating myself now, but I think that makes it doubly important that you do stuff when you can. And right now, look, Tennessee is a worthy opponent. They're 9-7, they're the 6th seed, all that stuff. But completely different team since Ryan Tannehill. I think they're 9-3,
including the playoffs.
With Tannehill, since they made that switch. Their defense is fast. They take the right angles. They're smart. They're aggressive. They hit hard. It's a hell of a challenge. So this isn't like the NFL equivalent of the 2 losing to a 15 or something like that.
Right. When you have this, what seems to be a window of opportunity for the Chiefs, the door's open, right, for the Chiefs to not just for this year, but it's open for them for a while. And that's how it works in the NFL. Some windows stay open longer than others. I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars had a nice window a couple years ago, and that lasted all of one season. But this one, because of Mahomes, and the Chiefs will do everything in their power to make sure that he's taken care of financially after this season. That'll be a topic for a future podcast.
Whatever you want, Pat.
Right.
Like that is kind of
right.
the contract.
But and I heard this conversation earlier in the day. Put a little too much on a 24-year-old to lift the franchise out of historical doldrums. A little much to ask one dude.
I go back to this conversation I had with Steven St. John, who I think does a great job at A10. This was before Mahomes' first season. And it was just like, and we were going through all this, like, oh my God, like the hopes and dreams of an entire city and damn near 50 years and all these playoff failures. And it's just supposed to be this like raspy voiced, kid, with the rocket arm. And I'm just like, no pressure, whatever. And Steven goes, you know what? A lot of pressure. Damn right. A lot of pressure. And you know what? Like, I do think, and I'm going to write about this week. It's a hell of a burden. And it's a burden unlike, I don't think I'm exaggerating right now. I think it's a burden unlike any single athlete in Kansas City has had. Maybe Tom Watson's an individual sport. Maybe that's different somehow. But in baseball, you just fundamentally that sport works differently. And I think more is being put on him than was Derek Thomas, than was anybody else that I can think of with the Chiefs. But damned if he doesn't look up for the challenge,
I feel exactly like you do about everything you just said. And I come away continually, somehow, again and again, amazed at how he seems to handle it all.
Yeah.
He's not a guy who'll be spoiled by it. He's not a guy who'll get complacent from it. But more to this point, he sort of seems impervious to, like, what, me worry? Something I saw, and I didn't really know how to quantify it yesterday, but the first touchdown they scored yesterday, when it was 24-0, the way he threw the two balls. The first pass was to Kelsey, and then it was the route to Damian Williams. I'm just watching his ease. Like, he wasn't going to overthrow those balls. He wasn't going to put too much on them. He was just so in control of his emotions. And then, of course, he uncorked his emotions, down the field, getting people, lathered up. I just see a guy who knows who he is and is completely comfortable in his skin in ways that are unimaginable for anybody that isn't him. Like, how would you feel comfortable with this kind of scrutiny?
There's no question. It's funny too, because I remember thinking, and at least to me, it seemed like it's Watson or Mahomes if you're going to take a quarterback in that round. And one of the things that I like, you like about Watson in that situation is he's performed on the biggest stage.
Won the biggest game you can win in college.
A 2-minute drive to beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. And the year before took him to the national championship game as well. And you're kind of thinking, this little, like gunslinger with a great highlight reel, but he's finishing 5-7 at Texas Tech.
Losing by 40 at Iowa State.
Yeah, like how does that guy, rise from that platform to this one? And look, I think Deshaun Watson still has that. I think all that stuff is still in him. But I just, for Mahomes to be who he is at this point, it's just, it's transformational.
Well, I think Sunday's game might seal it for me that the dude is bad karma proof. He just, he doesn't wear any of it, and it's unfair. For him to carry the burden of 50 years of playoff failure is entirely unfair to him and to this team, but especially him because we look at him as the person that's going to, to cross that line. But there's nothing that I've seen in the 2 years that he's played as a starter for the Chiefs that he's got, some gaffe or some disaster, like how in the world did that happen, sort of play in him. I haven't seen anything quite like that. 24-0 on Sunday wasn't his fault.
Yeah,
right.
Kelsey dropped the Kelsey and Demarcus Robinson dropped passes that would have kept drives alive as the Texans built that lead. He put the ball where it was supposed to be. He doesn't do the wrong thing.
You know what else he's got is, the talent is obvious, right? But like as much as a quarterback matters, you can't win by yourself. Frank Clark had 3 sacks. Travis Kelce, they did not have an answer for Travis Kelce. Pass interference, penalties, catches, the whole bit. But one thing that he's got, and this can be like kind of a byproduct of talent, is everybody around him sees him and raises a little bit. And I remember in training camp in 2018, I remember getting text messages with video clips of stuff that he was doing in training, in practices that was just blowing people's minds. And that fed into, that was conversations that all of us have had, with guys on this team about, they just talk about that guy a little bit differently. And I think NFL, there's too much money at stake for these guys to not be focused and locked in and productive and all those things anyway. But when you have, just sort of this outlier talent, especially at that position, having covered the Chiefs on both sides of this, there's a clear difference to the mood, the energy, the focus in the room when you have that guy as opposed to when you don't.
The outlier talent, you've said this in as many words for sure, but it also comes with that sort of frame of mind that I don't think he does carry the burden. I don't think it's like there's some weight that he's actually dealing with. I think it's like, no, that's not on my shoulders. I'm here. I'm in this moment. I do this. Not to say he's carefree. I don't mean that, but I think he knows what's important. He knows what matters. He knows what he can control. Yeah. And apparently he can control quite a lot more than many people can.
I think he carries it, but he either doesn't realize it or just doesn't.
It's not a burden, I guess, is what.
One thing that Andy Reid says a lot, he uses this term a lot, and it's bled into, like, now everybody in the organization uses it. They always say, like, here's what's real. I focus on what's real. That's what's real. And I feel like that's Patrick.
Yeah.
Here's what's real. What's real is I don't care that it's 24-0. What's real is we just got the ball here, and they're playing press man on Travis Kelce, and I can throw this pass, and we're going to, like, that's what's real. And that's, as they would say, that's how they roll. That's just how it's been.
The other thing he did on Sunday that I loved, and it showed me so much, is because of the way the Texans were covering receivers, he ran for 56 yards and had the awareness, and each time it was to the right. But look, we've seen it from him, throughout his couple years as a starter. But I found it interesting that in a playoff bracket this year that had the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for whatever it was Lamar Jackson did, was 3,500 yards and rushed for over 1,000, and then Deshaun Watson, who's seen as the guy who can really kill you with his legs. Patrick Mahomes kept drives alive in that comeback time in the first half, understanding they were playing press man, had their corners and safeties had their backs to the play, and chunks of yardage was available for him. So he just tucked it and ran. Ended up being the Chiefs' leading rusher in a playoff game yesterday. I'm just 5 touchdown passes. What was the stat yesterday? First player in NFL history with 5 touchdown passes, 300 yards passing, and 50 yards rushing.
Yep.
I think something like that.
Yep.
So.
And he's not. I mean, he's obviously a really good athlete, and he's agile. He can move around in the pocket. But like if Deshaun Watson is a step below Lamar Jackson, and so is like pretty much every other human. I think that Patrick Mahomes is a step below Deshaun as far as just running ability, quick twitch, change of direction. But he did that a few times. You remember in Mexico City, he's smart enough.
Yes.
He uses his agility to buy time to throw. He doesn't use it to run unless things like that happen. He had a big run, maybe a couple of them in Detroit. Maybe even in that last drive to win the game. The biggest play of that drive, I think, was a scramble.
It was.
And he does that. If you turn your back on him, he'll run. He won't run as fast as Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson, but he'll get enough.
He'll run out of bounds too. He's not going to take that hit.
Yeah. What do you think his 40 time is? It wouldn't make you say, "Wow, yeah, faster than you thought." I don't think
so. But
4.8. I have no idea. But you just watch him move around. He's not.
Well,
he's really agile.
He's agile, and he has conviction about where he's going. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, and those two things together, make up for some speed, I think.
Yeah.
And from our perspective in the press box, high above the field, we see the field opening up in a way he doesn't, but we see it. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, there's 20 yards of real estate right there.
Yeah.
Just go. And now he does.
I wonder if that's part of what he's talked about of taking what the defense gives you. And I haven't really thought this before our discussion right now, so maybe I need to think it through a little bit. But I don't remember him doing that as much last year. And it also doesn't seem like there's that many times where you think, oh my God, like everybody's got their back to you. You've got 18 yards that you can just go, and he doesn't do it. You know what I mean? Like he seems to pick his spots perfectly.
I could be wrong about this, but I'm persuaded that I don't know what the timeline for it would be, but that late last season, last 5, 6, 7 games, that he was fighting something in ankle, knee, leg, that I think he ran less, or at least took advantage of openings less in those games than he did earlier in the season. Could totally be wrong. It's just, but I think that's what happened, and I think the fact that he's still doing it now is really testimony to the amazing recovery he made. Remember, it was bad enough that he was dealing with the ankles, and then the knee.
Then the knee goes from pointing north to pointing east on his leg.
And I'm still not convinced that he's. I guess we haven't really discussed this, but is he probably going to get surgery as soon as the season's done on that knee?
I was told when that stuff was going on, I was told probably is the word that I heard used. But one other thing too, this is something that maybe fans don't care about, but. Everybody's got their Rick Burkholder jokes when Eric Berry is day-to-day for an entire season. And I was one of them, making the jokes right along with everybody else. But they deserve some credit with all this and Patrick, he gave them credit in the postgame last, of having that recovery. Guys don't usually get healthier. Guys don't often get healthier as the season goes on, but he sure has.
All right, Vahe just gave us a signal that we're running long here, so we're going to bail. We got a lot to talk about this week, and we'll have a lot of. It'll be a Chiefs week in sports on SportsBeat KC. I hope you'll stay with us. Sam Mellinger, Vahe Gregorian. Thanks, guys, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Brian.
Well, that'll do it for today. Thanks for listening. We've got you covered this week with daily shows about the Chiefs' AFC Championship Game meeting with the Tennessee Titans. We'll have sound from both teams, analysis from our columnists and writers, and more. Thanks to Derek Donovan for producing today's episode, and where you can, please leave us a rating, review, and share the episode. It helps. We'll be back on Wednesday on SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.